Good morning, everyone. The historic drought in the Southern Plains continues to cut deep into the nation's cattle industry. Allendale Incorporated expects USDA's Cattle on Feed report to show August placements into feedlots up nearly 8% from last year. Cattle and calves on feed for slaughter markets in the U.S. totaled 10.6 million head on August 1st. This is based on data from feedlots with capacity of 1,000 head or more. This is the third highest August inventory since the series began in 1996. Placements in feedlots during July were up 22%. The drought plaguing the Southwest and the cattle industry is not new. It actually began last fall and carried into 2011. Most droughts affect part of a year, but rarely the entire year. Producers and ranchers usually expect a rebound in their forage, but this drought has been different. With a sharp decline in crops and forage, we saw the need to reduce cattle numbers, and those numbers in Oklahoma, for example, are staggering. Oklahoma State livestock specialists expect a 13% plunge in the beef cow herd in that state. Further, they see replacement heifers dropping by a third.
Even more dramatic than that is the fact that Oklahoma, which normally brings in a lot of stocker cattle from other states at this time of the year for winter grazing on wheat, with a almost complete lack of wheat pasture at this point, we won't be bringing those cattle in, and in fact we're not keeping all of our own calves, and so we may see our feeder supply on January 1 down by almost a half. And when you put all those factors together, it suggests that Oklahoma's all cattle and calves inventory on January 1 could be down in excess of 25% this year, which is an unprecedented drop in cattle numbers for the state. This drought really started in the fall of 2010 with dry conditions that carried through the winter and resulted in 2011 in a complete lack of any spring production, any opportunity for any forage or crop production. And so immediately you go into very severe impacts coming out of a winter into a period where you don't get any spring at all. And so it didn't take very long at all for the impacts to become much more dramatic than in some other drought scenarios.
Peel says farmers and ranchers in other parts of the country may be expanding their beef herds, taking advantage of cattle sales in dry areas. But he says that expansion would not make up for the big losses in Texas and Oklahoma. The Texas and Southwestern Cattle Raisers Association conducted a survey of its members to see how their operations changed as a result of the drought. 84% have reduced their herd size from their 3-year average. Herds of TSCRA members were reduced by an average of 38%. However, the organization says relatively few of the animals moved out of the state. According to the survey, 8% of respondents indicate they will no longer own cattle in 2012, although many indicate this is only a temporary measure. No respondents indicated they plan to permanently exit the cattle business. Some consumers are worried that growing crops for ethanol will mean a decreased food supply and higher prices at the grocery store. That's why researchers are looking for ways to double crop of sorts some biomass used for ethanol. In this report from the University of Tennessee, Ginger Trice says depending on the time of year, the grasses can make fuel for cars or forage for cattle.
Switchgrass has become a popular term in the past several years, and the UT Institute of Agriculture has been at the forefront of turning this grass to gas. But the research on native grasses like switchgrass has another focus.
We're approaching it from the standpoint of how can we utilize this grass to, in essence, produce a double crop type system.
Kevin Thompson is the director of the Middle Tennessee and Dairy Ag Research and Education Centers, where researchers are evaluating how well these Holstein and Jersey heifers gain or maintain weight while eating these grasses. They will also monitor how the nutritional value of native grasses affects these heifers' unborn calves. While the study is not complete, Thompson says he has seen some advantages of using native grasses as food for cows.
We've seen that these forages are providing a feel for a gap that we in the Southeast see in late June, July, and August. These forages grow really well in a rain deficit type situation, and then with the really hot temperatures that we have this time of year.
The theory goes that cattle could graze these grasses through the summer months when traditional Tennessee forages are not doing well, then be moved to other pastures, giving the native grasses enough time to mature into a harvestable biomass crop by late fall. In other words, during the summer, these grasses would feed the cows that provide us with products like milk, while in the fall, these plants would provide a different kind of energy.
Hopefully what we're doing is compromising, in essence, in being able to maintain acres of ag production land for human food consumption, so that we do have adequate food in the future as the population increases. It also help offset energy needs in the future.
In Spring Hill, Ginger Trice, UT Institute of Agriculture.
Thanks, Ginger. Remember, you can get many more updates on the beef industry, including market and industry information from our partners at beeftoday.com.